So how can the spheres be applied to the behavioural model that we previously explored? Well, the graphic on the screen now allows you a pretty clear understanding. So the possibilities are at that pre-prime and prime stage. So when they're thinking about getting involved, may have a look on the internet, may have a look on Twitter or Facebook and look at the possibilities. So what's around me? The trigger, so it could be togetherness. So a group of friends saying, well, we're going to football tomorrow night. Do you fancy coming along? We're going to that soccer size session that I've seen advertised and everyone seems as though they're enjoying themselves. Do you fancy coming? The preparation, so the support. So what do the family network, are they supporting them with that? So do they need money to go out and buy shin pads or boots or specialised equipment? Is the family supporting that, or are they saying, no, we haven't got any money to provide you? Making the change, so feeling that belonging. Okay, so when they go into that environment or that initiative or program, do they get a sense of belonging? The sustained change, well, you can apply the progression here. And then finally, the normalization is the internalized. So it's very intrinsic and they understand internally the holistic benefits of taking part in football. And here to finish off the model, I suppose, is just applying a case study. And this provides an insight to a schoolgirl's journey. In this case, it's a basketball player from primary to secondary school. And it applies the prime, trigger, making change stages, etc. So, for example, the prime is the mum. So learn to shoot from playing hoops with her mum when she was very little. The trigger was in the PE teacher or the classmates in school, where basketball was part of the school PE lessons from year 3. And in year 5, everyone tried out for the school squad. The key change here was the PE teacher. So got into the squad in her favourite position. So felt good to be valued by the PE teacher and other girls on the team. So that was a real motivator for this individual. Then the sustained change came with family. So mum endorsed her passion for basketball, buying her a basketball hoop in the garden at home. So mum attends every match cheering her on. So there's a real support network around her. And then the school and elite athletes, inspirational sportswomen stories from school assemblies remain in her memory, inspiring her to practice. And then that PE teacher. That teacher gave lots of positive feedback and praise in training. Confidence grew and felt she was progressing. So that provided that real journey. So on the right hand side, you can see the spheres of influence there. Our next case study is the transnational organisation that we said we were going to look at, which was FIFA. Now FIFA have launched a 4-year strategy framework of good practice for member nations. And it breaks down into 4 key areas really. It identifies that each member nation must establish a women's football development plan. So looking for each member nation to have a clear understanding of how they're going to drive forward the female game. And that's from elite right through to grassroots. Must be in place prior to any women's football development programme application. So they can't apply, any member nation can't apply for funding unless they've got a clear plan in place for women's football. It must be in line with the member association's overall strategy for football development. And it must be approved first by the member association's women's football committee and then by the member association's executive committee. FIFA set out 10 key principles within their plan. And I'm not going to go through them in each of them, but I will pick out just a couple. Point 3, work towards sustainable professionalised competition. So looking to introduce domestic competitions for females. So again, that would also allow younger girls within schools or community clubs to aspire to play in a national domestic competition. Number 5, women's football at different stages to men's football. Need experts in women's football in all decision-making areas. Now, you may be thinking yourself that you'd like a career in women's football, and therefore an individual that works within the female game needs to have a slightly different skill set to someone working in the male game. So that may relate to you quite nicely. And finally, fight discrimination against women in sport and society as a whole. So we did speak about those traditionalist views and perceptions around females taking part in football. Although they're not as mainstream in this day and age, they do still exist, looking at the statistics as we looked at previously in this module. So it's important that member associations address those issues on an ongoing basis. So we talked about funding, and part of the FIFA programme is once member associations have devised a strategy, they're able to apply for funding to deliver initiatives or grassroots programmes. And these cover the 4 main areas of football development, so competitions, management, education and promotion. So what I've done is I've listed 9 key programmes that member associations can apply for funding for. The Live Your Goals programme, which is FIFA provide conceptual support, ambassadors and financial support. I'm aware that Wales have applied for this funding and are delivering this across the nation, so it might be worth typing that into Google to provide you with some further background there. Within grassroots, 6 to 12 provide equipment, expertise and financial assistance. Youth football development, so not just grassroots and getting players more involved in getting female players more involved in football, but actually providing support to those intermediate teams, so such as the under-17 elite squads, and providing the correct training environment and making sure that they've got the necessary access to facilities, equipment and resources. Competition and league development, so organised domestic competition structures. You've got coaching education, scholarship for B-licensed female coaches, so support those existing coaches to move through the levels. You've got female leadership development, so specialist mentors which link into universities. You've got women's football administration, so facilitate more female administrators. And then the legacy programme, with the main aim of sustainability. So don't take my word for it. Access the FIFA website and have a look for yourself and look through some of the case study examples on there. Another example of a great initiative stroke programme is the English Football League Trust Female Football Development Programme. You may have come into contact with this programme yourself through a local professional club that you've worked for or a local community foundation that actually deliver this on behalf of the English Football League Trust. So the programme is funded by the FA and Sport England and was launched in 2013. And the English Football League Trust and Premier League deliver at grassroots. This is the first time for all 4 organisations to work on a project of this kind together. More than £3 million of joint FA and Sport England investment will be allocated to the programme by July 2016. So it's already been completed in its first stage. 54 clubs are delivering the FFD sessions aimed at 14 to 25-year-olds and level 2 qualified coaches in cohesion with the county FAs, the schools, the colleges and universities to engage with fresh participants. £2.4 million will be invested over the next 2 years from Sport England funding. So it's a huge investment there from Sport England and a belief that that will achieve their target as well as delivering on the English Football League Trust targets. The FFD is playing a pivotal part of this, accounting for over 1/3 of the national target. And you're able to find out a little bit more about that programme if you click on the link there which has been provided on these slides if you download them. So we've reflected on some of the theory about women in football and the barriers to participating in the behavioural journey. We've also drawn on a few examples of some of the industry case study examples about women or females taking part in football. Now I'd like you to discuss your own examples that you have from working within football, whether that be within a community trust environment or whether that be within a community grassroots club environment, or it might be a performance or an elite environment. And I want you to think about this. Do they have specific targets? And if so, have they hit those targets? What are the participation levels like? Can you compare these participation levels to the local geography and the local population? So is it high or is it low, or is it fairly comparable with the male game? What are the popular versions of the game used within your trust? Are you using those innovative approaches? Are you being creative with the way in which you're adapting the traditional format of the game? Right, what I'd like you to do when you've brought that information together is I'd like you to list your success stories on a wiki page, which I'll provide you on Blackboard. So if you go onto Blackboard and you click on the link, the communications link on the left-hand side of your page, and then you click on Wiki, and I'll set up a link on there or a board for you to list all your great examples on there. And then hopefully what we'll do, we'll bring together all those great case study examples right across the network that we'll be able to share some good practice. Okay, the below link will also provide an insight into some further initiatives being delivered by the Premier League. So again, just trying to build up this bank of case study examples for you to have and to save and to maybe utilise when we talk about the assessment later on.